Hi, this is Shambhavi. Welcome to my weekly podcast about spirituality, love, death, devotion, and waking up while living in a messy world. The Satsang with Shambhavi podcast is recorded live each week with students of our nonprofit community, Jaya Kula. For more information and to find out about attending a satsang, visit jayakula.org. Thanks for listening. Much love to you, wherever and however you are. Do you know that we have themes every year?
Things for the whole year. Right?
Yeah.
Devotion and pride. And
right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Things like that. The theme for this year is going to be courage.
Cool.
And I wanted to kick off that theme with something that Ma said about courage. When one resides in a country not one's own, how can one possibly evade the hardships that are a foreigner's lot? Your motherland is where there is no question of distress and sorrow, of violence and hatred, of estrangement, neither of the opposites of light and darkness. The endeavor to find himself in his real home, in his true nature, is man's sole duty. Courage and steadiness are what is required.
What's the second word? Courage and?
Steadiness.
Steadiness.
Yep. So when one resides in a country not one's own, what does that mean?
Sense of separation.
Feeling separate. Feeling out of sync with something. That feeling of being out of sync that causes us to look for a solution, right? Feeling of not being in the right place or in the right circumstance, or not feeling right with oneself. That is pretty much a ubiquitous feeling among humans until they get a little more woke. So when one resides in a country not one's own, how can one possibly evade the hardships that are a foreigner's lot? Basically saying that samsara comes with hardships. That sense of separation engenders hardships naturally. You can't avoid it, in other words. Your motherland, that place where you are resting in your own nature, when you return to the mother, return to yourself, is where there is no question of distress and sorrow. So we are not making those kinds of distinctions that cause you suffering. You may feel pain, you may feel sadness, you may feel excited about something, or you may have all these regular emotions, but you're no longer judging them to be good or bad or desirable or undesirable. Your motherland is where there is no question of distress and sorrow, of violence and hatred, of estrangement, neither of the opposites of light and darkness. So both light and darkness are seen as aspects of the Lord. The endeavor to find oneself, I'm going to change it to oneself. The endeavor to find oneself in one's real home is one's real nature. In other words, that the urge to do that and the path that we do it via and the effort that we put into it is your real nature. You're just doing this as a matter of course because that's how we're made to do that. So this is our sole duty, Ma says. This is our main job. This is what the life purpose that's built in from the beginning. Courage and steadiness are what is required. So why do you think Ma says that? Why do we need courage?
Because it's a lot easier to just like live in the fixations. So we need courage to go against that momentum.
We also need courage just to be steady. Courage and steadiness, I think, are really related. Even though steadiness sounds boring, it actually takes a lot of courage to keep putting one foot in front of the other in your sadhana and trying to live in the view and trying to open your heart. Just being steady in that takes courage. In being steady, we are actually leaving behind these old self-concepts and old ways of life. And that takes courage. Just the sheer steadiness of it brings us to a new place. As Ma said, it's more important to do practice every day, more important than anything else. Right? To the steadiness factor. What else do we need courage for?
Going against the norm. And living a life that is just not normal. society's lifestyle.
I was thinking walking into the unknown, like what you might be on the other side of whatever you have been doing or being.
The groundlessness.
I think like just like noticing all the things about yourself that are getting in the way takes courage.
Absolutely, yeah.
See it.
Yeah.
I think being in the ordinariness of life as a practitioner takes courage. It's not just the courage of being out of step with others, it's the courage of just dealing with the mundanity of things and the day-by-dayness and the dailiness and the ordinariness of it, and not trying to escape that with fantasy. Right. I think that takes courage and definitely takes fortitude. What else takes courage? How else does courage manifest as a practitioner?
To defend your choice to want to follow your desire to wake up.
Protect it.
I feel like expelling doubts takes courage.
Takes courage to walk back to what you really know about life and your life when you get distracted or waylaid in some way.
This is just another version of what everyone's said already, but like returning to the kernel of certainty over and over and over and over again, even while everything else is really, all the other stuff is really loud sometimes. I feel like that takes a lot of courage. Following and returning.
Like being honest takes courage. Like being honest no matter what takes courage. Being sober takes courage in all the different ways that we have to be sober as practitioners. I mean, honesty is like basically the bottom line of sobriety, right? To have that Saturn-like quality of sobriety, that's what Saturn represents. To walk away from entanglements that aren't really going to help you in any way, but that you feel attracted to. Right? Like all the different versions of realms are ways of getting distracted, like explaining yourself and defending yourself and hiding and doing all those things that we feel magnetized to do, and walking away from that takes a lot of courage and steadiness and fortitude. And these are all very nitty-gritty, everyday things. They're not glamorous.
It takes courage to recognize where you are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So we're in a much more fiery environment, so courage will be supported here. So will distraction, but...
I was thinking a minute ago that it takes courage to like be naked, be in your real condition, or look at your actual circumstance.
It takes courage just to go the way that you feel is right for you, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever that is. Just to listen to that wisdom wherever it's coming from and follow it no matter what. That takes a lot of courage. Where does the word courage come from?
Like heart.
Cool.
Super name brown.
Cool.
Too many things.
Since that's the seed of wisdom, that makes sense, right? Following the heart takes heart. So what kind of courage will you express where we are right now? Or where you are right now? How do you see yourself expressing courage? Either a way that you're already expressing it or a way that you want to express it?
I think for me, I've kind of been doing it as much as I could or can, but like remembering integrated practice and, you know, recognizing when my mind is indulging and just trying to pull out of that and do the integrated practice.
It's great.
For me, it's about honesty about where I'm at and what I actually want, and having it expressed in my relationships and my dealings with the Kula.
Same for me. Honesty. Doing things, not doing things because I think it's right, or what it's supposed to be, because it feels good, feels right. And having a good mixture of listening and not talking too much.
I think restraint takes an incredible amount of courage. And that's something I have a lot of experience with, and I'm still working with on a minute-by-minute basis. I feel a lot of spiritual growth happens via the vehicle of restraint.
Hey.
I think that would be mine, is restraint, not chasing after money and all the other shiny baubles that I like. Stop chasing it.
Stop chasing the bag.
I think for me it has to do with expressiveness, which is also connected with honesty, just being more honestly expressive and maybe saying things like expressing what's inside, sort of integrating the inner and the outer more. It's one thing that occurs to me. It's definitely something I want to think more about, though.
For me, I think it would be courageous to not edit myself. I feel like I'm a different person around different people, which I don't like. And I think it would be just really relaxing and cool just to be myself in front of anyone, anytime. And I feel like you do that from what I've seen, and I really like that. And it seems to be working for you. That's what I want.
I wasn't always like that, though.
Really?
For different reasons than maybe you have that experience, but my speech was hugely inhibited through, I don't know, maybe through high school, because I learned to read when I was really young, and I read a lot of books that the other kids weren't reading. And then when I got to first grade, I had a bigger vocabulary just from having read so much, and I got mercilessly teased, like for what words just spontaneously came to me. And I just started severely editing my speech to the point where it just became this unstoppable habit, where I would say everything first in my mind, edit out the big words, and then substitute smaller words. And it really took me years to get over that habit and just let my speech out. Of course, being in a different environment helped, where other people were reading a lot more and stuff helped a lot. But I did have that experience of like developing a habit of editing myself. That was very powerful. It was like a big deal in my life at one point.
A big deal in a good way?
No, not in a good way. It was no, it was a big deal to get over it. It was, it was a big impediment. Impediment, block. See, that's
what other words were you thinking of? I was looking through one of my old journals, and I have a bunch of words I have a section of words I didn't know from teachings.
What words are on there?
Oh man, I can't remember.
Were they Sanskrit words?
No.
Oh.
They're just words that Shambhavi
big words.
Yeah.
Still happening! No, I mean, to me it's kind of a miracle that I really just don't even think about what I'm saying at all. It's so relaxing.
Yeah. I'm exhausted.
But then I had to get over another thing, which was just related to writing, whereas I would write stories about everything in my head as it was happening. And that was very enjoyable. But I realized at some point, when I was already pretty deep into my sadhana, that it was an impediment also, that it really had to go. It was cutting back on immediacy. But I really didn't know how I was ever going to stop because I enjoyed it so much. It was basically like I was continually writing. And eventually it just went away on its own. I don't really know how or when, but eventually just stopped.
I think for me, a couple of things that come up. Just sort of one thing I've been working on and just to continue doing is not compartmentalizing.
making what I do here with all of you, with you, Shambhavi, just having that seamless thread. And it's really easy to get distracted being at work and then coming home and feeling like I kind of have different lives. So that's one thing. And then just kind of putting myself more into the fire. I feel like I need to step off the ledge and just kind of jump into the pit.
Come on in here. It's fun. Nice and warm in here. Come on in. The fire's fine.
I think that's one of my questions about courage, because I feel like I don't have a lot of fire right now. I feel like I have courage, but yeah, the fire's kind of low. So is there a kind of courage that's not fiery courage?
Perseverance.
That's it, isn't it?
I was thinking you're too excited about that.
No, it was just that feeling of, oh, yeah.
I was thinking about that today, actually, about being sick, just having illness. And the last couple of days, I've been having really bad flare-ups and stuff, and things that I haven't had in months. And really feeling that, like sitting on the cushion this morning, like, oh God, this again, like the pains and the whatever else. And that's it, perseverance, because I don't feel like there's no like fire to pull from. I can't fiery force myself through it because there's not enough juice to do that with, although I kind of want to. It's just sort of it feels like a slog, and it's perseverance.
Well, that's why Ma said courage and steadiness.
Yeah.
That's another word for perseverance.
The thing that came to my mind was like getting in touch with the choice that I made to be here, like the reason that I actually made the choice to move here, and celebrating that choice more, like instead of lamenting or struggling or being disappointed, just like really appreciating what I have in my life. And like having the courage to enjoy when I have such a tendency to be in pain. Which feels related to that. It's not like I feel super fiery and like bubbly about everything, but like it's just like a sweetness.
Anybody have anything else they want to say?
I like this theme.
Just reminds me of what Ma said about coming and going, the thing will be done. Like, as life does its thing and our karmas do their things, and there's just steadiness, and then the courage to just continue being steady through all of that.
Is there any quality of a coming year that has to do with courage, or not really?
Well, I think that this past year and this year, 2019 and possibly going into 2020, is the most destabilized Jaya Kula has ever been since we started. So I think that takes an amount of courage from everybody. It's a different situation. And it's one of the things that Stephen talked to me about. He said it was inevitable, and that it's been going on since 2018, 2019, and it's gonna basically stop sometime during 2020. I forget exactly what month he said everything was gonna calm down, but no, I wrote it down. I just don't remember. It's not that far away.
Hopefully not December.
But we arrived here, and then everything was kind of different than what we expected. At least it was for me, and I think that takes a lot of courage to face that, and face that one had all these positive expectations, and then it was much rockier than any of us expected. And so I think it's called for courage on everybody's part, right, including mine. And then just being so open to wait for the new thing to arrive, I think takes a lot of courage. Letting things fall out wherever they fall out, and then seeing what the new configuration is, and moving on with that. I think it just takes a lot of courage to be that open, to not try to prematurely put everything on some particular track. The ways that I'm doing that, the decisions that I've made about satsang and other things is having more than ripple effects. I mean, everybody's involved. And that takes a lot of courage for the whole community, I think. And I don't know that things are going to be, I don't think they're going to be the same. I think they're going to be different and, according to Stephen, stronger, but in a new configuration of some sort, which we don't even know what that is yet.
Waiting for the right moment takes courage.
Yeah, patience.
Patience, yeah.
Waiting for the right moment takes a lot of courage. Not trying to reform too soon or too hysterically, not doing it out of fear, really just waiting.
Or even trying to reform at all, like if the previous form wasn't the right form, you know. Like,
it's not that it wasn't the right form, it's just times change.
I meant more generally, like thinking that the way something used to be
is
was
the way
right
it's
form,
I see,
and then like you must just reform in that exact configuration.
Oh, right, I see what you're saying.
You know?
Yeah, right, exactly. We're not, waiting and not trying to force things into a shape just because that shape is familiar or worked in the past. Or
I feel that courage seems to be like a blend of endurance and love, in the sense that, like being in a foreign land feels like, there's an amount of endurance that you have to just like sit with the fact that you don't understand what's going on, and you have to adapt, and at the same time love for the fact that you are in that land that you want to be.
Yeah, being in that clear mind, don't know, for like months on end. Sometimes it's cloudy mind, don't know. Agitated mind, don't know. Angry mind, don't know.
I read a book about courage written by a doctor at one of our military hospitals, and he said that, I can't remember I've been trying to remember the crux of the book. It's a really short book, but one of his points was that courage is often because of the group, in that a lot of what we call courage really was a human protecting his band of brothers in the military sense, but I think there's a role of community too with courage. It's like doing things for others to, in this case it was like they were able to elevate themselves to do it for other people. Like go run out in the middle of gunfire to go save someone who'd been fallen.
I think that's a fantastic point, especially given that the people who came here have such wildly different feelings about being here. And I think it would be really great if there could be more mutual support, right? I mean, the support given to the people that are more distraught about it, and the support of the distraught people of not sort of bringing other people down, trying to be more supportive to the whole mandala. I think that'd be like that comradeship would be wonderful if we, as an expression of courage, as we go through this together. Because no matter what shape anything takes, we have built something together.